there, Packer Nation, and welcome to another edition of the Absolute Packer Podcast. We are on episode 86, if you can believe it. 86 episodes. And apparently we are hemming and hawing over the title of this episode. I said we should call it To Franchise or Not to Franchise. But they are, when I say they, my cohorts, Elliot Christensen and Jeremy Houtel, hello, they are saying that they might want to call this Will You Go on a Date with Andy, comma, yes, no, maybe, because I am single,
the punctuation
looking for love.
Out, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
I think
I said I really don't care. Whatever gets clicks and eyeballs on this thing is fine by me. So we'll see.
It's eyeballs.
Okay. There you go.
So what would make you a good date? Like, why should they go on a date with you?
My sense of humor is up there. I like to think I have a very...
But I mean actual reasons. Reasons.
Jeez. My number one... This is great. My number one reason is this. Besides that, my charming personality. I don't know.
I mean, reasons they should go on a date with you. Because this is the yes, no, maybe. I'm looking for the yeses, not the no's.
Again, I have to say my humor is a huge part. I think I have a really good sense of humor. Number two, I'm easy to talk to. I can talk about everything and anything. And what's behind door number 8?
I have a proctology question for you.
Oh, goodness gracious. This is a Packer podcast. Where are we going? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I thought this was the Absolute Proctology podcast. My mistake. I'm doing too many of these lately.
Check, please.
Wow.
Okay. Steering the ship back. Look, we're in the midst of the off season, so we are really looking for things to do, as we can tell here. And we
right off of that.
Actually, this is kind of... So, do you remember... Look, I have to frame this up. Do you guys remember the movie My Cousin Vinny with Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei? Okay. Do you remember the scene where they're in the woods camping?
And the Karate Kid.
And Joe Pesci, he's sitting in the wood. He's like the New York guy, and he's sitting and he hears an owl hooting, and he wakes up in the middle of the night, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" And he hears it again, and he just grabs this huge hand, like this 44 Magnum gun, and he just opens the door and just blasts in every which direction at this owl, and it's like in a tree, like 50 yards away. And that's basically, I found a GIF of that, all right, of him just blasting, and I go, so if we're just blasting away hoping to hit something, that's what I always think of, is the Joe Pesci shooting the owls.
I don't know what you're talking about right now. What are you even talking about?
I don't know what I'm talking about either. What we need to do is we need a third little screen up here showing that scene from the movie, and then people go, I know what's going on here. It basically means we're just grasping at straws and we're just shooting without aiming.
I'll see if I can get that. I don't know. You know how YouTube is about the copyright police, but I'll see what we can do.
Oh, it's out there.
Oh, I got a notice. It said somebody wants to date Andy, but they're a Viking fan. Would you take it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, there we go.
Well, that's the only standard.
Although, wait a minute. Wait, who's it from? What do they look like?
All I have is Viking Sally.
Viking Sally.
What if he's a brunette?
What? He's a brunette. Oh, please. Lightning, anything.
Oh,
strike me. Yeah. I don't know. Absolute Packer.
Russell Wilson's going to the Bears. He would probably date you.
He is not going to the Bears. By the way, speaking of Russell Wilson, have you seen pictures of him lately without his football uniform? He is a silly looking dude. He's got goofy looking hair.
What kind of pictures are you looking up?
Just go on the internet and type in Russell Wilson like headshot, and he is silly looking. Silly.
Are we?
Hey, you're the one who called it the Absolute Proctology podcast. I'm just trying to, I don't know.
All right.
Sinking this thing to the bottom of the ocean.
All right.
So,
take two.
Okay. We're recording now, right? Oh, we recorded all that. Oh no. So look,
Start over.
we are in the Absolute Packer podcast number 86. We have determined that nobody wants to date me. Why would they? Because I am a paperweight, apparently. The charisma of a paperweight or something.
Wow.
That's what we've deduced. Anyway, not a whole lot going on.
I mean, that's it. That is science.
That aside, there really isn't much to say. The new league year is coming up soon, so things will begin to happen, player personnel-wise. But right now, there's not a whole lot going on. There's stuff going on with a few other teams. With the Packers, there's rumblings about things. I think I saw today that I saw the special teams coach was like, Hunter Bradley and J.K. Scott need to do better. I can't even talk. Better. In other news, water is wet.
Said it.
In other news, water's wet. I mean, I told Jeremy before this, he put it in Slack, and I said, we got a long snapper who can barely snap and a punter who can't punt. Inexcusable. So in my opinion, they should both be gone and they should just start over, but whatever. Here we are talking about special teams and punters and whatnot, but, and then the other,
well, and also too, we have tomorrow. Right now it's tentatively, but tomorrow is the last day before teams can place franchise tags on players that are going to be up for contract. But there are rumblings that they're going to extend it because technically speaking, they have not determined what the salary cap is, and the players union feels like it's unfair to have a franchise tag with the top 5 paid position players at their respective position when you have no salary cap to take into account.
Well, they don't know what the ceiling is.
There's rumors that that's going to possibly be extended. Right. That there's rumors that that's possibly going to
if they extend it, what are they going to extend it like
as
weeks?
We stand right now? Well, last year is actually like a week. So it actually extended into the legal tampering period, which is around March 15th. The league year is the 17th.
Love that phrase.
Yep. That's when you can tamper.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, so the Packers, if the Packers want to franchise anybody at this point, tomorrow is the day. Aaron Jones is rumored to be one of those players.
That seems to be the guy if they do it. I'd be stunned if they do it, to be honest. But you never know. I mean, things are weird right now. So, right. And the other thing I guess that's been out there is, and I think you brought this up, Jeremy, was Preston Smith potentially on the trading block. I don't know who's trading for him, but
they're just throwing his name out there and seeing if anybody picks the hook out of the water. So it's kind of just a fishing expedition.
There you go. I mean, again, all indications are he's going to come back. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that he would immediately be cut, like with Kirksey and them, or he would, at a minimum, really quickly take a salary cut. I guess you could still say he'd take a salary cut, but I think he's going to be back on the team. And it may just be partially a game of they need some bodies. I don't know.
They need bodies, but I think it's for the Packers, it's also a game of, hey, if we truly want to trade him, we don't want teams to know that we're going to get rid of him. You know what I mean? So that takes his value down exponentially.
Yeah.
Right. So how are they playing that? I'm not real sure. I mean, to me, honestly, it's a pay-for-play league, and his contract is quite prohibitive, and he hasn't played up to that level that he's going to be paid at this year. So he's definitely up for the cutting board,
I mean, Aaron Jones, honestly think that they're going to cut his salary and he'll be back.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going to happen with Jones.
Yeah,
no
that'd be smart. It would be smart.
To franchise him?
To franchise Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Smith. Preston.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Lord. Absolute Proctology podcast.
So,
we hit it
if they do the franchise tag thing for Jones, is there a minimum amount of time they have to do that for?
What do you mean?
Time? It's for the whole year. It's his salary's guaranteed for the year, is it not?
It's just for it. So it's just a salary tag for this year.
Okay. There's also
year by year.
Yes, but there's two different definitions of franchise tag. There's non-exclusive and exclusive. If you designate the player as a non-exclusive, you can negotiate with him, but so can other teams. If you designate him as an exclusive rights-free franchise player, he can only negotiate with the Packers. So, and the last time that tag was ever used was Le'Veon Bell. So that's how often it's used. It's not used very often because then the price goes up a little bit. You know what I mean? So,
sure, yeah. I mean, look,
but if the Packers are serious about him and they want to cut the market off, then give them the exclusive rights, and you have the exclusive rights to that player. And the only way that Jones can't play is if he decides to sit out, which then he would get fined $50,000 a year once training camp starts, or $50,000 a day. Excuse me, a day.
A day,
$50,000 a day, he'd be fined. So,
I know what that's like. It's not fun.
Horrible life.
50,000 hay pennies is what I could basically stand to take. I look, I want them back. You want all your good players back. But if they franchised them, it would probably be between 12 and 15 million, somewhere in there,
between
right?
8 and 10. 8 and 10. So his franchise tag is not real prohibitive. It depends on where they're going to finally land at, with the salary cap. But
yeah, who do you think has a better chance of coming back in any way, shape, or form? Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones?
Just based off of the economics, they could easily franchise Aaron Jones and pay him a reasonable amount. They can't franchise Jamal Williams because he hasn't played to that level, but Aaron Jones has. So is there a player that would make more sense to me? Aaron Jones, but I think Jamal.
I'm not saying about necessarily about makes sense. I just wonder about probability of coming back. Which player? I would almost think Aaron Jones versus Jamal Williams, just because of
the franchise option out there.
Yeah. Because I think someone's going to actually, someone out there is probably going to offer Jamal Williams a heck of a lot more than what the Packers would, and the Packers would probably be like, take it, And to your point, they don't have that franchise tag. They're not going to use it on Williams, so it's not sitting back there in the barn ready to go or anything.
I mean, the scary thing is you have teams like the Miami Dolphins that are going to be flush with cap space. They're interested in Aaron Jones. And if they get into the bidding war, the Packers have no chance at having Aaron Jones come back. So the franchise tag is a legitimate option for them if they truly desire to have him come back.
Yeah. Obviously what sucks so bad is like the last taste you have of Aaron Jones was probably the worst game of his career in the NFC Championship game. But he's a great player. That was, I'm going to say that's an anomaly. A lot of players in the team stunk that day. But he really makes the offense go, and he's so dynamic and other things. And that's pretty reasonable. 8 to 10. I would have thought, I was way off, but geez. I don't know. And then there's other, shifting gears a little bit, there's other rumblings that they may extend Rodgers and move around some of his money. Who the heck knows? Did you see that Ben Roethlisberger signed a new deal with Steelers?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like
took a pay cut to do it.
And there you go. How about that? Tom Brady said he wants they might be getting an extension for him in Tampa Bay. He's going to play till he's 98 years old. Like Tom, you have 43 Super Bowls.
Roethlisberger isn't that good anymore.
No, if anybody watched Roethlisberger last year in the playoffs, he looked horrible.
Yeah,
looked horrible.
Who's there? They don't have a QB. They don't have a QB like backup.
Mason Rudolph.
Oh yeah,
Mason.
He's
Rudolph.
not bad. Look, he's not great, but he's not that. If I remember, he's not bad, is he? I don't know.
He's not a Brett Hundley. Let's just put it that way. He's better than Brett Hundley.
Lord, or Seneca Wallace. You remember that parade of backups they
Yes.
put out that one year? And then, wasn't it Seneca Wallace who, like, his first start, he hurt his hamstring like on the first snap of the game?
Yep. Right.
Oh, it was funny.
Right.
Good Lord.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have
How the
one
other-
job.
How the rest of the
You
league.
get hurt in your first game out.
I know. It was like the first snap. It was like ridiculous. It was how the rest of the league functions. Now, Jeremy sent an interesting article right before this, and it was from SI, I believe. Sports Illustrated said they believe the Packers have the best overall roster in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad, but I don't think it's the best.
But as of
I didn't get a chance to read it, but on first glance, I was like, I don't know. What do you think?
It was basically graded off of their performance this year. And I mean, they had 7 Pro Bowlers and they had 3 or 4 All Pros. So the fact that they've had some really exclusive, highly ranked players like Aaron Rodgers, Kenny Clark, Zadarius Smith, Devontae Adams, that really throws up your figure. You know what I mean? Bakhtiari, that really amps up your ranking. And to their credit, I don't think too many teams can compete with those 5, to be honest with you. So that plays a heavy weight on the ranking that they provide.
Kind of top.
But yeah, I mean, overall, you're talking about 53-man roster. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but they actually grade every position.
It's in a vacuum, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to read because they grade every position based off of production, and that's how they come up with their figures. So it's actually, schematically, it's really a good barometer. But theoretically, when you see it and you think about it, you're like, okay, whatever, But
yeah, and it's like where these Packer fans are like, we just know better. It's like we're loaded, but we're going to lose. It's at some point. I don't know. It's like feels like it's this inevitability or weird thing that like clouds your judgment. But obviously they got some really good. I don't know if they're the best though. That seems, maybe top 5. But I mean, look, Tampa Bay, top to bottom, I think they're better than us. I mean, did they beat us? Yes, but I think even in terms of quality, I don't know. I mean, these are the things you hem and haw over in the offseason, right? Crap like this.
It's just a couple of positions here and there that, if you line up the spreadsheet and add it all up, the Packers probably are better. But
also,
the only disagreement
go ahead.
The only disagreement I would have was with their defensive ranking. Their defense ranking, as far as overall, is 3rd best in the league, and I speak highly of their defense, the talent there, but I mean, better than like Kansas City or
if they're 3rd, then
Seattle.
Freaking Tampa Bay is like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. It's like it's just yeah. It seems like night and day.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So what do you? Again, I'm kind of flipping around on just other players and whatnot, but I mean, they got to extend Devontae. That's probably going to happen.
And Jair.
Oh, yes, both of them. Which happens first?
Whew. God, right now they don't have the money to sign one. So, who do they do it? I don't know.
Now, Devontae's not going. He has. It's this year and then 1 year remaining. It's not his last year. This isn't.
Well, he's got 1 year after the.
Yeah, I was going to say players never do that. They never do like lame. It's like coaches. They never do lame duck stuff. With good players, they're always extended.
But Jair's coming into his 4th year, so
and he has
because he was a 1st-round draft pick, they has a 5th-year option, so they can do that like they did with Kenny Clark, and then give them that time to kind of figure out what they're going to do with their cap and sign. That is a nice luxury to a mega $1 million deal. Yep. It'll come in handy with him, But I think Devontae will be the first one. I mean, he earned it. He deserves it, and they know they can't play without him. You know what I mean? As well as they've done when he's been hurt, they know over the long haul they cannot exceed or succeed without Devontae Adams out there. 28, 29. 28, 29.
I mean, he's
under 30.
Absolute prime, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else is. Around this just popped in my head, but apparently, Jeff Bezos says he might want to buy the Washington football team. Did you guys see this?
Really?
Making a play?
No,
I didn't.
You didn't hear about this? I thought I saw that about a week ago.
And he's going to make it all female and call it the Amazons.
I'll tell you what. No matter how much you laugh or snicker or whatever, it's like,
oh my!
I'm no Bezos fan, but man, Daniel Snyder is horrific. He is like everything about that guy is just off. Did you see he had like thousands. He might have had like 10,000 Twitter bots during that whole thing of the cheerleaders and all that he just brazenly put out there that were. I mean, he didn't even try to hide these Twitter bots. It was just like just like a sociopath out there, just doing whatever. And he's not good at what he does. So it's like,
yeah. Right.
When you look, I guess part of what I'm getting at is when you look at a guy like Snyder, you're like, thank the Lord we don't have a guy like that. Could you imagine? Right. Oh my word. Just like,
yeah.
Basically every single decision he makes, you'd be like, it's the wrong one. Right when he makes,
you would know right after
do the opposite of what he just did. He's just, it's just amazing, I don't know.
Yeah. Because his last one was Dwayne Haskins, and he's no longer with the team. So, and he was drafted 2 years ago. So, idiot. Sorry.
Who was the owner before Snyder? Can't remember. But man, he's been there early 2000s. He's been the owner, if not before, late 90s. Yeah. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Who the hell was the owner before now? Huh. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't really affect us, but he's just such a crappy owner. That's all I can say. So,
for as hard and as negatively as we speak about Mark Murphy, you just brought up a good point. We could have Daniel Snyder. So,
now here's an interesting question. I just thought of this. So, is there there's no way that like an owner that like, and again, I'm just thinking of this right now, so bear with me. But like, no matter what, no matter how stupid you are, no matter how bad you are, I mean, you're going to turn a profit. There's no chance that like, because when he bought the Redskins in like, let's say it was 2000, just by virtue of owning them, it gains value. It doesn't matter how bad you are, It's almost like, say you bought them for like $600 million, they're probably worth like $3 billion now,
I don't know. I mean, they may lose money this year, though, right?
I just lose value. Like if he sold, you'd be like, "Oh my God, they sold for less than what he bought it for in like 19." I mean, that would be almost be impossible. But what I'm getting, or even close, because most of these guys, you're like, "Oh, they made obscene amounts of money," and all you have to be is like halfway decent. You don't even have to be that good of an owner. But he's just so bad that. You just like, it'd be funny. It'd be funny if you sold them and lost money. If they lost value.
Let me ask you this question. So the last NFL team that was sold was the Carolina Panthers. And they were sold for roughly between $2.2 and $2.3 billion. All
right.
Do you think the Washington football team is worth more than the Carolina Panthers? What they were finally sold for? Yeah? And why do you think so?
History, league, prestige. It's basically BS reasons almost in a way, but I think those things. And I'm not saying
they have any
like
prestige
twice as much.
Do they have any history now that they don't even have a name?
That's what I was going to get at. That history
I see
now
what you're
is
saying
pretty much
there.
Done.
Yeah. I mean, that's a legit thing. I mean, of course there is some of that, right? But some of that they've lost. And
yeah, well, no, what'd you say? 2.3, 2.5?
2.2.
And my answer was just a gut reaction based on like, because Carolina was an expansion franchise and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, well, probably just, but who knows,
But it was also an expansion franchise for a reason, because that was, it was decided
burgeoning market
for a team there.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Much better phrase.
What's the most valuable team in the league? Is the Cowboys?
Cowboys.
What are they, like 8 billion?
It's over 6 billion. I forgot the exact.
And what's the number? Like, what are the top 5 valued franchises in order? Like, of most to like 1 to 5. I'd like to know that.
I know the Cowboys are up there.
Like, I wonder what the difference.
Patriots were up there too.
What is the difference between like 1 and 2? Because it almost seems like the Cowboys would be easy 1, and then the next one underneath them would be like that much less than even the Cowboys. But I don't know. Who knows? Packers are like middle of the road, aren't they?
Yeah,
from what I understand. Yeah, they're like 15.
Yeah,
16.
well, and that's the thing, because they're a publicly owned team. They typically don't have like a real true hard figure, So what do we,
which is interesting on some levels. It's interesting on some levels because of how much transparency they give, and they are, quote, supposed to give, because they're public. You almost figure that like you could make a better valuation because of that, but who the hell knows? It's just it's still unique and different and this and that, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Who's the least valuable team? Now there's one.
That is a very good question, Andy. I appreciate that question.
The Bears.
I appreciate that question. You little smart guy. Nice. Threw that out there. That's good. That's a little running joke from the Slack thread. I appreciate that question.
Yeah.
Oh.
Honestly, who is the...
Honestly, my first thought was like, oh, it's the Browns. But the Browns they're worth a bunch.
I would put the Browns or the Raiders. Like, the Raiders have been moving from city to city.
What about like the Chargers? There's some where it's like...
Chargers?
Yeah.
Where they're like... They're just middling, and like, I mean, they're in a big market, but they're just
right. They have no fan base because, like, what makes it valuable, right?
They got no cachet. Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, like, top 5 and bottom 5. That'd be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question.
You could ask Google. Those are answerable questions.
This is true.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way that we can do that on here?
That because I'm not.
I have the little Google speaker. I could shout it out, but I'm not going to do that. That'd be funny if I shouted it out and he goes, "I appreciate that question."
I appreciate that question.
What did you say? What did you say, Google? And it says it in Jeremy's voice.
You can swap if you have an echo. You can swap it out for Samuel L. Jackson's voice.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. All right. So
I would say Cowboys are number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. My gut reaction to that, the bottom ones are the teams that continuously don't have a home, like the Raiders.
And then you would. The other one you'd think would be like just horrible. Like the Jets are just god awful, but they're in New York. They're probably worth a ton of money still.
Yeah.
It was like Jacksonville. I would think they're low, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just literally pulling stuff out of my butt here. So yeah, I mean, in terms of just other news and what's going on and player purpose, I mean, back up, stroke, I'm back. The defensive coordinator and special teams coach did speak. They had a press conference. I did not. I saw a little bit of the defensive coordinator, the Packers' new defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. I mean, look, he sounded good, but boy, howdy, how many times have you heard a coach and you go, hey, he sounds like he's good, and then he couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag? It's just... You
know what? And I think to me, and I know he meant well. I don't think he's a bad person. But when you answer every question with, that's a great question, or I appreciate that question, Rob Domofsky, it's like, it's kind of condescending to me, and so that's why I always I use that right now as my punchline, because it just, I didn't like that. You know what I mean? But when he said that
is a funny phrase. I appreciate that question. It's like, you appreciate it? I didn't know it had value.
Right.
I depreciate that.
Right. You're supposed to give me value with the answer.
There you go.
The question's not the value, Yeah. But when he said, that the Packers want to play fast and furious, I was kind of like, okay, this is Mike Pedden all over again, because he said the same exact thing.
I mean, that's just funny. It's like any defensive coordinator is going to say that. I'd love a defensive coordinator to come out and be like, we're going to be lethargic, we are going to be slow, and we are not going to try very hard. Let me tell you, we're going to catch everybody off guard. Be like,
no, but do you remember when Dan Campbell was hired by the Lions, and he said, like, we're going to eat legs. We're going to have like body parts. We're going to eat them. And it was just like, did he say that? I like this guy. You know, he pretty much did. Yeah.
We're gonna eat legs. Oh man.
I don't remember exactly.
Who's your new defensive coordinator? He's a cannibal. Eats human body parts.
But how kick
that would be the best. I wouldn't care if we were 0-16. I'd be like, I want to see this guy chopping up his leg.
He's sitting on the sideline.
I want to see him come to the press conference with like a leg with like a sock and a cleat. And he's just chomping on it. He's like, we got our butts kicked, but I got a leg. That'd be the best thing ever. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
We were going to chew on legs. I might have to watch that guy's press conference. I didn't hear about that.
Oh, yes. Dan Campbell. Watch it, and it'll bring humor, and it'll bring a smile to your face.
You know who would have been a great I mean, he was a good position coach, and just an all around was Kevin Green, but him as a defensive coordinator, because then you get to hear him talk, and like some of the stuff, like Pat McAfee, AJ Hawk, you know, is obviously like his co-host, and he was telling when Kevin Green died, he was telling Pat McAfee about some of the stories, and it's just so funny. He was like all these like wrestling stories. Can we forget the guy was a freaking professional wrestler too?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Funny. Oh man. Yeah. For once you'd like to get a coach out there that's just like he's like the George Costanza, does the opposite. Of everything you're supposed to do. It just
Yep. Yep.
Has any other new coaches been hired around the league or anything? I'm trying to think if hired or fired. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, the Jets filled their position. 49er defensive coordinator.
Diplomat to the long snappers. Valet parking. Some of these titles are just like passing game coordinator, like
running game coordinator.
Yeah. Passing game coordinator.
I think we have to reward anybody that listened this long with our contest.
That was outstanding.
That was a good segue.
He's waiting on that. You can see him still.
Yeah,
he's like, oh my God, everybody shut the hell up. All right.
He hasn't said anything, and all of a sudden you just at the right moment.
He's over there going, they're talking about eating legs.
Trying to set Andy up with a date.
So while you were talking about cannibalism, I launched our Patreon. And
excellent.
I hashtagged it with cannibalism.
There you go.
Oh no.
And we have 5 takers. I think we have to offer human sacrifices, though. I think that's implied. I'm not sure. But I think okay. So we kind of talked about this before we went on, but I think we should put the poll that we were talking about on Patreon.
Yes.
You guys think that's cool? That's all right.
So cool.
All
right. That is a great question. Great question.
All right. And then
I appreciate that.
Nobody cares.
No, stop. Stop. Just go. We're just kidding.
I'm gonna be the only one that puts an answer in the poll, and I'm gonna win the prize.
Nonsense.
And that'll be cool. That'll be fine.
Nonsense.
But so we were talking about some potentially some like custom merchandise that we were gonna put together. I know that I would like to make some. I know that idiot over there, they can't get a date. Like to make
I am that idiot you speak of. No, we talked about. Look, I'm a graphic designer. I did the branding for this, and I'm big into stickers and swag and merch and stuff like that. So I think at some point we'd like to come up with some little items potentially.
Right. Well, I totally want an APP hoodie for myself before next fall. So
I do love hoodies.
When I go back to Lambeau, I want to go in there all proud with my APP hoodie, and I would like to see some other people with them on also. So that's my goal. Okay. So I'd like to have some hoodies available at some point. Anything else, like I kind of don't care, but hoodies, I want a hoodie. All right. And then my sister-in-law, like I mentioned, she said that she would offer up a prize, and I'm not sure if we're going to split it into like maybe a couple of prizes, but she's going to offer some gift certificates to her salon. She owns the Salon, so anybody who would like to get fancied up.
There you go.
I mean, if, before your date, you might want to see what's lurking under that skull cap of yours, and maybe
this is actually it's a hat on back. but your point is taken.
I don't know. So anyway.
By the way, it's not if I get a date. It's when.
Okay. So anyway, so those are the perks. Those are the perks, so to speak, right? So I want to have some prizes of some kind, okay? But we decided on what were we going to do the poll on?
Top 5 Green Bay Packers quarterbacks. Now, obviously, when we talk quarterbacks,
top 1 ultimately, right?
Top 1.
I mean, like we're going to just rank them. You're going to pick your favorite, right? Or are you going to pick your 5? You're just going to pick your favorite, thinking, right?
Well, I mean, this is where we can kind of put that out there, maybe potentially just kind of figure out what it could be. I mean, you could say, here's the 5 we have, rank them, or put out there what we think it's going to be. More than 5? Well, here's the interesting thing. I mean, obviously, we had said before we came on that look, immediately, without question, you got the big 3. We don't even need to say their names. We know who they are, the big 3. But then that's kind of, easy, for lack of a better term, air quotes, easy. So let's throw in a couple more that just to see what kind of feedback you get. And I mean, it's just an interesting conversation because the other 2 could be, you had great guys on really bad teams. It's always a good discussion to have. And again, with the Packers, there's so much history and tradition that, I mean, we're sitting here and we're like, okay, we have 3 Hall of Famers, outstanding quarterbacks in the history of the entire league. And we're like, let's just push them aside and maybe even talk about some of these over here. It's a good problem to have as far as I put it. And it puts more discussion out there. So that's why I think it'd be
so.
But I'm open to whether you just, write in your own or whether you just put 5. The problem is if you allow this, hear me out. If you allow people to just say, what are my 5? You can get some jokesters out there that put in things that aren't. So we can at least put some parameters around this if we put the other 2 in ourselves. But ultimately, I'm good with whatever.
Well, I think I don't know what Patreon allows us to have as options on as far as voting. Like if you can,
so we have some
I don't know if we have homework because I have it open right now, but
open book
I think
test.
We can have as many options as we need. So I think we can have as many options as we want.
All right.
But I think you can only pick 1.
Oh, if it's like multiple choice or whatever, you can say you can't.
As far as I know.
Okay. We can figure it out.
I don't see any options. So as far as I know, you'd pick you pick who you think is the top 1.
All right.
So anyway, that'll be on Patreon. I will link to it in the show notes. I will also link to it on Facebook and elsewhere. Okay.
Alrighty.
We had tossed around like putting the actual poll on Facebook, but there's been kind of a backlash against Facebook recently. Like you had mentioned that you kind of don't frequent Facebook much. I
do not.
I'm on Facebook mostly for my podcast. Otherwise,
I do use it for business, but I always push to it.
Well,
I never really go directly on it. I push from other areas on to it.
Yeah.
So anything you typically see
Yeah.
from me on there is coming from somewhere else.
Right. And younger people are kind of going away from it anyway. So it's like, it's not the be all end all that it was just even a couple of years ago. So
yeah, I hear you.
So I'm down with trying something new. Maybe there will only be 3 people, but so anyway, out of those 3 people, we'll pick a winner somehow and get them a prize. And maybe there'll be 3 prizes, and there'll be 3 people that sign up, and they all 3 get prizes. I don't know, but that's kind of the deal. So. And I'll get that all fleshed out before we get this published. But I just wanted to make sure to mention that in case anybody's fallen asleep, that, hey, if you paid attention, you can be first to get in on the prize. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Audience
so best quarterback,
baby.
Yeah. Best quarterback. Maybe get some stickers. Maybe get a gift certificate. I'd love to see a hoodie, but that might be
Date with Andy. We could use that one.
That would be awesome.
And look who came up with that. Mr. Creativity himself.
Pick your prize. Oh my God.
What have I done?
Date with Andy. So back when we would have little contests for our business, and as the grand prize, we offered a shower with Eric, which is my brother. That was the grand prize.
For real?
That was in the fine print of all of our content.
World? I'd rather chew. What was it? Bite legs. Chew that coach.
But it was always something funny. It was like in lieu of the grand prize. There's no cash value. You can choose a shower with Eric or something. It was very well done.
So it's like a baby shower. I got you. Baby shower.
No, I don't. I'm not sure. I mean, it was like an annual shower of some kind.
What is happening?
So anyway, that's all I got. So Patreon is launched.
Sweet. What's the URL? Let's get the links out there, baby. What's the Patreon URL?
I assume it's Absolute Packer. So patreon.com/Absolute Packer, but I will verify that right now.
Yes. Facebook.com/Absolute Packer.
Well, Facebook is.
I appreciate that question, Andy.
I do like it. He's being. What's the word I'm looking for? A smartass, but I like it.
I wouldn't know anything about being a smartass.
What?
He said he appreciated that question. He hit it. He did it again.
Not capable.
I'm just going to retort with, I depreciate that question. And people will look at me like, what? And I'll be like, yes, exactly.
Well, it's gonna have to be Absolute Packer. If we didn't pick that already, it's gonna have to be. I don't know what else it would be.
It wouldn't be APP or something, is it?
No. I don't want to do that because of like name collisions. Like I wouldn't want to have that like conflict with anybody else's name. Yeah,
it's Absolute Packer. It's Absolute Packer.
Okay, cool.
That's what it is.
It's amazing when you're logged in. It's actually hard to find that. All right, cool. So that is all. Unless you guys have anything else. It's a wrap.
Waiting for the new league year and for legal tampering to start happening, and right now it's just kind of that lull. The
lull before the storm.
The calm before storm, no doubt.
Oh, it's gonna be.
It's gonna pick up hot and heavy.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So,
all right, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.
Podcast.
Chair.
I know, right?